Right, let's move on to our next fixture, and I should have really written it around another, so I'm just kind of doing this on the fly. Johnson Ross County, I'm not doing. I'm ready to talk about that game yet. That was absolutely disgusting. Let's go to the game. Let's go to the game at Fir Park. Actually, let's go to Motherwell against Hearts. I watched this one until Hearts went 2 goals ahead, and then I didn't really have time to watch the rest. Obviously, I didn't watch it live. I was recovering on Saturday. I'd planned to watch it live on Saturday, and then Friday night really got away from me, so I ended up having to just watch it back as opposed to watching it at the time. I think, from a Hearts perspective, first half was very impressive. It was like pretty much domination from Stephen Naismith's men. It was one of the better performances I think I've seen so far this season. They used the width of the pitch really well, knocked the ball about well, had the fact that they kind of had Cochrane hugging one touchline, Forrest hugging the other. It meant like there was a lot of space to knock the ball around. I thought Alex Lowry in the first half was pretty good in terms of using that space, and didn't always come off for him, but he was at the very least someone who caused problems and was central to a lot of good things Hearts did. Benny Beningame had his best game, well, probably since I was going to say this season, but it would be since he got injured, really. He looked, I wouldn't say quite approaching his best yet, but certainly hope that that is a level he can get back at. And it was just very comfortable in the first 45. It was like, Motherwell, I don't know why. Well, I just continue talking about Hearts. Yeah, I'll finish talking about Hearts. Second half, Motherwell put them under a little bit of pressure in the first 15. And then there was, I don't know if it was actually shown on Sportscene. I don't think it maybe was. It was Brodie Spencer had a chance where he was kind of played in on the left and he had the opportunity. He had 3 options. Could have gone straight for goal. He could have tried to slip in Beerith, who would have had a decent chance, like try to shoot on the turn from kind of inside the 6-yard box, or he could have laid it across for Blair Spittle running in. He decided instead to just flick the ball with outside his foot straight to Hearts player. And Spittle's reaction is brilliant. He goes absolutely fucking rash. He's furious. And at that point, because he'd ran away for Forrest and Forrest was just sleeping, at that point, Naismith immediately hooked Forrest off, brought Simic on, and right away, because it was Spencer that was causing the issues at the start of the second half, right away Motherwell really didn't do anything again, and the second goal was coming. Nicely worked goal with Beningame's through ball for Shankland, and Shankland get 2 goals. That's him for 10 already this season. There's a lot of chat earlier in the campaign, like, but Shankland in terms of like he'd fallen off for performances last season, and I mean, I was saying like he wasn't playing necessarily that well and maybe he should be taken out of the team. That was proven to be bollocks, because around about the time I was saying that is when he's got back on the goal trail, and he's, as usual, his goals have been absolutely massive for Hearts, and he does look like he's starting to put in the performances again to kind of match the goals.
And back in the Scotland squad
today. Not that I think he should play. As a Scotland fan.
No, but he's you can see why he would pick him, because he's starting to develop his all-round game a lot more. It was something that we spoke about in this bit last season, who they're maybe kind of the two that are kind of fighting it out for that fourth choice striker spot at this point, but he's starting to develop a lot more of an all-round game. I think that pathetic spell at Dundee United, not pathetic on his part, when Mickey Mellon was like deliberately keeping him as far away from the goal as possible, is maybe... even that didn't stop him scoring from like 70 yards, but it's kind of probably helped his all-round game to the point where now you can see him. He's both the best striker and the best playmaker at Hearts, which is quite an achievement.
Motherwell.
Yeah.
They're pish.
They really are.
It's so weird, like how quickly things in football change.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. So, I mean, it wasn't, 6 or 7 games ago, I know like these are completely arbitrary measurements, but if you'd gone from the point where Stuart Kettle was appointed to 6 or 7 games ago, only Celtic had more points in that period, and it was by about 4 points. Ridiculous run of form. And there were so many question marks at the start of the season. For me, there was so many question marks about the recruitment. How do you replace a 30-goal-a-season striker? That squad doesn't look like it's got an awful lot of pace. That squad looks like there's not an awful lot of dig in midfield. It looks like it will be quite easy to play football against them. And for 6 games, I ate my words, but I've spewed those words back up now because all those things are now proving to be true again.
I've learned this recently, Tom. You need to stick with your convictions, especially in Scottish top flight, because it just goes like that all the time.
So they don't they don't look like they're going to fashion a goal other than from opponents making mistakes. They are so easy to play against, to like play football against. It's not like the lack of running or anything like that, but there just seems to be, anytime I've watched anybody playing Motherwell in the last couple of weeks, and was at Fir Park a couple of weeks ago, it was so easy to play one-touch, two-touch football against them and easily take out 4 players with a couple of passes. And that seems bizarre given what they were hard to play against.
Not exactly steel men, are they?
Not exactly steel men. Barely even anything like...
Can you think of a soft metallic substance?
Barely even a
Tin
form
men.
of base metal. Aluminium foil.
That's excellent. But I mean, you talked about Van Veen. It's not,
jotting that down as a possible name for the show.
it's not just about Van Veen. They lost Max Johnston as well, who was a big part of that resurgence last season. Him coming into the team, he obviously went off to Austria, and so you've lost 2 pretty crucial players. And they also, I can't remember the guy's name, the fullback they had on loan from down south, and the other side was reasonably all right as well. And that might even have been the first half of last season, but they had was it QPR or some pathetic English club, but but they've not been able to bring in quality. And I think you saw in the attack, obviously Biereth's a good forward player, or at least he's got signs of being a good finisher, and maybe they'll end up hanging their hat on him. But when it's a lone player, you're always
talk about James Furlong.
Yeah, that's the one. Yes, yeah, he was quite good. You're hanging your hat on loanee is always risky because you can get the rug pulled out from you in January as well. And since he started starting games, he's not been as effective. So there's just lots of little things for Motherwell that are starting to not go well. I personally think they should back Kettlewell to turn it round, because I think he's quite a pragmatic manager, and I think he'll find the right way, but you can understand clubs pulling the trigger.
The problem with both Kettlewell turning it around in the short term and a new man turning it around in the short term is the fact that they basically, Kettlewell signed the players to fit the system, and now the system is no longer working. So, like, an easy option would say, okay, right, let's ditch the 3 at the back, stick Callum Butcher at defensive midfield, make ourselves Slattery as one of the players in front of him, maybe say Spittle, make it a bit tougher. Who the hell is sticking out wide? They don't have any wingers. So
they've got an endless supply of youngsters, Motherwell. There will be some like fucking £4 million player in their youth team.
They were minging in the first half in this game in particular. They were really, really poor. Like the tactics seemed to be, so they basically played 3-4-3. Blair Spittle was stuck out on the left. That was wild. But it didn't really matter anyway, because the tactic was to bypass the midfield and go long to the front 3, get it up to them as much as possible. And Hearts just dealt with absolutely everything. Like, well, first off, Theo Bair and Conor Wilkinson aren't any good. So that was a piece of piss for Kingsley and Rowles. And Biereth is the only decent option up there, and Frankie Kent just handled him perfectly. So it was just, the ball just kept coming back constantly. There was nothing else to their game. Second half, like I say, they bring on Spencer, move Spittle back to central. They're a better side. Take off Bair as well. But it was just still, like, other than that 15 minutes, they then just soon kind of just seemed to run out of ideas. And that was at a time where the team make a bit more sense, but they just had so little confidence going that they were just dreadful.
They're definitely a team that should be worrying at the moment, I think. But also, as we said with St Mirren, and teams not winning every single game, teams do not lose every single game either.
I think that the biggest worry for Motherwell and a handful of other teams is for a couple of months, it looked like there was going to be one side kind of cast adrift, and it was going to be who's playing for the playoff place. It now does look like it's another who's going to be there, who's going to just be like when the music stops, who's going to be left sitting there, and you don't want to be in that position.